The TV Book Club with Specsavers.
A Visit from the Goon Squad is a book about time and about music. The book consists of 13 chapters. Each one has a different protagonist, and each one has, I would say, a totally different mood and feel from all of the others. Each chapter takes place at a different point in time, moving forward and backward through their lives in all different places. There's the punk rock scene in San Francisco in the late 70s, East Village rock and roll scene, early internet days in New York. A number of the chapters take place in New York pre and post 9/11. Place is probably the single most important entry point for me to fiction. I start with a sense of when and where, and I know that before I even know who is in the story. The thing about Manhattan is that it contains so much variety and so many different worlds that are almost unaware of each other. It's all these different sounds and textures smushed together into a very small space.
Well, I must say, A Visit from the Goon Squad, one of my favourite books, actually, so far. I just thought...
In life, ever?
No.
Okay.
On this show.
Okay. I loved it, and I was lukewarm about the previous two books in this series, but I thought this was excellent, and there was so much I thought was going to put me off this book. It's quirky American, it's a therapist and cookie people and people in the punk rock music, and I thought, I'm going to hate this. But actually, I read it almost in one go, which it's actually quite good for this book because it's very confusing. And I loved it. I thought it was very funny. I thought it was written with a great gift of observation, and I don't think it's a sentence wasted. I think you can take any line out of it and it pulls its weight, and there's no treading water. I just feel it was excellent.
It's essentially a group of short stories, isn't it, which are linked in time, and it goes backwards and forwards. And whilst I really enjoyed nearly all of the short stories, I wish they'd been in a line in terms of time. I didn't enjoy the moving backwards and forwards.
Did you read it in one go? Because I think...
No, because no one can read in a go unless they're unemployed, Rory.
Well, I was fortunate to have a day off that day, and I read it, and it does
One
help.
of your few in the year.
It helps, honestly, and I had no problem with messing around with the time at all, and I loved the way it all resolves at the end, and they all join up and you realise who is involved with
I love the
character.
circle. They were from the beginning to the end. We're not giving it away. That was
Might not be
delicious
too
when it
close to
just
you.
came to the back.
Sorry.
I found it's beautifully written, and she's obviously a huge brain, and she managed to put these pieces together so well. You can't help but admire the writing, and it certainly transports you to these different worlds and different times. I found there was something slightly bleak about being able to live people's entire lives, to jump forward 20 or 30 years and see how so many of them lost their dreams or lost their hopes or lost their relationships. And whilst that's truthful and beautifully evoked, and there is some value in that in the sense that it helps you, it makes you value what you have now. It makes you want to go home and grab the people you love and tell them and not lose things. I did feel this sense of kind of crumbling mortality everywhere.
But isn't the
Isn't that
Goon
what the
Squad,
titles are alluding to?
the Goon Squad is time.
No, time will get us all at the end, but I kind of know that. And I'd like to be fooled slightly more, but she did it beautifully.
The TV Book Club with Specsavers.